I'm right 98% of the time. The other 3% is when I'm doing math problems. I know most of you got onto that. 98% plus 3% is 101%, not 100%. My name is Chelsea, and today I'm going to be going over percentages with you, as well as the mathematics of growth. So first of all, we're going to look at a percent. Do any of you know what a percent is? Well, the word percent is Latin for percentum, which means per 100, or basically means anything divided by 100. Here is a little visual just to kind of show you how a percent is written as a fraction, but it also gives us a better understanding of what percent means. The percent is a part of a whole. The whole is 100%. So next we're going to look at a few different percentage problems and see how we are going to solve them. So we have a few different sport equipment here, and we're first going to look at a soccer ball. So to find 10% off of $75, what we're going to do is we're going to take our original price, as seen here, and multiply it by the discount of 10% over 100. So our problem would look like 75 times 10 over 100. When you multiply that, your answer will be 750 over 100. Once you do the math for that and divide it, it's going to be $7.50. So to get our final answer, we're going to take our original price of $75 and subtract $7.50 from that, which would give us our final price with the discounted part of it taken off would be $67.50. Next, we're going to look at the basketball. So we have 10% off of $45. So we're going to arrange this same, we're going to arrange the 10% off 45 the same way we did on the last problem. $45 times 10% over 100, and then that's going to look like 450 over 100. Simplified down or divided would be $4.50. So we're going to subtract that from our original price of $45, and we're going to get our new price of $40.50. Next, we're going to look at a tennis racket. It's 10% off of $50. So we're going to multiply 50 times 10% over 100, which would give us 500 over 100, which equals $5. So that one's pretty easy. So we would take 50 minus 5, which is $45. Next, we're going to look at a golf ball, 10% off of $30. We're going to set it up the exact same way, $30 times 10% over 100, which equals 300 over 100, and then simplified is $3. So $30 minus 3 is $27. And lastly, we have a ping pong board here, or paddle, and it's 10% off of $40. So 40 times 10 over 100, 10% over 100 is 400 over 100, which is $4. So then we're going to deduct $4 from 40, our original price, and we'll have $36. So finding a percent of a different number is fairly easy as long as you know the formula, how you would solve it. Super, super simple. And I know this is something we use a lot, especially in shopping. I know myself, I get super, super excited when I see a discount every time. I'm like, ooh, let me pull out my phone and see how much this is. Because I personally cannot do this in my head, but as long as I know that formula, I can figure it out. Next, we're going to look how to convert a decimal to a percentage. So to convert a decimal to a percent, we're basically just going to be moving that decimal 2 places to the right, and we'll fill in any gaps with a 0. So I have a few examples here for you, and excuse my writing on this thing. I am not very good at it. I'm going to get me a little pen here. So I have an example of 0.25. We're going to move that decimal place 2 spaces to the right. So that would give us 25%. And again, I'm not very good at writing on these. And next, we have a little more complex of a problem, but nothing we can't handle. So we see our decimal here at the front. It's 1.255. We're going to take that decimal, shift it 2 spaces to the right, and our new number will be 125.5%. Super, super easy. And next, we're going to look at a percentage converted into a decimal. Same concept, we're just going to be moving the decimal to the left instead of the right. So you'll have a number here. They've provided a few examples for us. We have 20%, and if we write that with a decimal at the end of it, we're going to take that decimal and shift it 2 spaces to the right. So for 20%, it would be 0.2. And then I'll let you look at the rest of those examples if you'd like, but I have a few here of my own. So first we have 40%. Again, we're going to have to put a decimal here because we do not have one, and we're going to shift 2 spaces to the left. So our new answer would be 0.40. And then we have 12%. We're going to place us a decimal here at the back. We're going to shift it 2 spaces to the left, and our new answer is going to be 0.12. Super, super easy, I promise. And next, we're going to look at expressing a percent as a fraction. So to write a percentage as a fraction, we're just going to basically write it over 100. So we take the number that we have of the percentage, which is 46%. We're going to write it over 100. Next, we're just going to reduce it down and get a simpler or simplified fraction. And as you can see here, all these examples are provided for you. We have 46 over 100. Simplified, it's going to be 23 over 50. And then the second one here is a larger percentage, and we're still going to put it over 100 because that is a part of 100, a whole. So we're going to basically just do the same exact thing, reduce it down. But with this one, since our numerator is a higher number, we're going to go ahead and make it into a mixed fraction. And to do that, all you simply do is say, how many times will this denominator here, 5, go into 9? Well, it will only go into 9 one time, but it will have 4 left over, and our denominator is going to stay the same as 5. And then our last one here is 7.5%. And what we're going to do, we can't do it with a decimal here because we want it to be a whole number. So what we're going to do is just multiply this fraction times 2. 7.5 times 2 is going to equal 15, and 100 times 2 is 200. And then we're going to do it the exact same way as before. Now that we have whole numbers, we're going to do the simplified version of that, of 15 over 200, which is 3 over 40. And now we're going to do expressing fractions as a percent. So this one is similar to what we just did, but instead we already have a fraction. So what we're going to do is multiply that fraction, multiply it by 100 over 1. So for 1/5 times 100 over 1, we'll get 100 over 5. And now we're going to simplify that. So what we're going to do is divide it by 5 because we know 5 will go into 100 20 times. So it's going to go down to 20 over 1, or 20%. And then the next example I have here is 2 and 3 over 4. So it's a mixed number. So what we have to do to turn that into a fraction here, we're going to keep that denominator here 4. We're going to keep that the same here. But now what we're going to do next is how we would make that mixed fraction into just a regular fraction. We're going to do 4 times 2 plus 3, and that will give us our answer. And we're going to multiply that again by 100 divided by 1, or over 1, which is 11 over 4 times 100 over 1. And our answer is going to be 1,100 over 4. If you divide that, you're going to have 275%. And then here, I thought this was a useful little tip because I know a lot of people do use a calculator to figure these problems out. It gives you a few steps for doing this particular problem on a calculator. Next, we're going to look at the mathematics of growth. Do you know what mathematics of growth is? Just like it sounds, the growth in numbers. So it says it's an increase in number or size at a constantly growing rate. So it's basically just a feedback loop that makes a population or system grow. So it's going to escalate or increase with a higher amount. And what Miss Alyssa had spoke to us about earlier, compound interest, that is a great example of an exponential growth. So here I have a little inflation problem for you on a price. So inflation is basically just a measure of an annual growth in price or a good of a good or a service. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the price of gasoline of $2. The following year it's $2.20. So if we know the formula, we are going to be able to figure out what percent that the gas rose over a course of a year. So we're going to take our $2.20 that the gas is currently, and we're going to subtract the $2 that it was the previous year. And we're going to divide that by that $2 as well. Next, we're going to multiply it by 100, and then that's going to give us our answer of 10%. So over the course of a year, the gas price rose 10%. And I apologize, I did put this here in typing instead of my handwriting, because as you've seen before, not the best. So I hope that was easy for you to understand written out that way. And I want to say, yay, we're done with this presentation. And I do have a little chart here. I want you guys to please pause the video and take this clip and save it to your device or your computer, because it is a wonderful little example of how to do those percent conversions that we just did. It's simplified. It's in one little tiny area, so you don't have to click back and forth between things, but it gives you every one of those. So here you see where it says fraction. To get it to a percent, we multiply by 100 over 1 and simplify. And then to go from a percent to a decimal, we divide by 100. And then from decimal to percent and percent to fraction. So it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful little chart here to have on your hands for when you do these types of problems. Again, I want to thank you so much for watching my presentation, and I hope that it has helped you gain a better understanding on percents and mathematics of growth. Next, Ms. Heather is going to be going over percentage increase and decrease, as well a little bit more on mathematics of growth. Thank you guys so much.